better part of 4 months.
Yeah. So I don't know if they can hear me. It sounds like they probably can now, but it sounds like you didn't have audio there. So they just missed your great
Oh,
introduction.
they missed.
If you want to just redo it.
Hey, it's your old pal EMac coming to you with one Jake Hari here as we get ready for some Thursday action. Guess what? We've got NBA, or pardon me, what did I say? Oh, we've got NBA 6-game MLB slate. Those both go off at 7. We've got hockey at 8, and then 8:20. I don't know what I'm doing. I got a little reminder on my calendar, Jake. Any idea what it's supposed to be? I tied a string to my finger, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, it might be the massive NFL contest going on for a single game slate. So I'll be playing some of those. Obviously, little MLB, little NHL, and then a bunch of showdown NFL. So I don't really dabble into NBA. As you guys know, I already gave away enough of my money playing other sports, but yeah, it's a busy night these next couple hours. Hopefully we can get you ready for some baseball. And I'm sure there will be some other sporting takes along the way, wherever chat takes us.
Absolutely. So we're going to go till 6:15. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about everything related to MLB. At let's see, we are also going to have. I think there's 7:20 is live before lock. I'm guessing in between there may be an NBA show. That feels about right. Indeed, yes, it is going to be Josh and Rinpack. Ryan, who is rapidly rising up the ranks of DFS gamers. He is up there. He's had some six-figure weeks. That's weeks with an S. What's going on there? We've got, let's see, what else? I'm missing something tonight. Oh, our free content. It's the probable pitchers or top pitcher percentage. So let me drop that in chat. That's something we'll talk about. That's probably our second favorite tool, Jake?
Yeah. So I think, we talk about the top stacks, and it might be different for different subs and different people here, but we love the top stacks. It makes it so you can get kind of a really good look at the slate, whether you're hand building, using an optimizer, whatever, however you build your lineups. Shows you who's under-owned, who's over-owned, which teams you're going to get to using an optimizer, which teams you might not, that you need to bump up if you want to get exposure to. And the top pitcher tool is essentially that, but instead of stacks, it's for pitchers, obviously. It shows you potential over-owned and under-owned pitchers, and I especially think it's useful for two pitcher sites. So on FanDuel, it's a little bit tricky, but on DraftKings, I think you can really target some of these low-owned guys that might have a low probability, maybe like an 8 to 10% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, but they're like 1 or 0% owned. So that's the way that the top pitcher tool has really helped me this season.
Yeah, and it's something that is quick and easy to look at. It's easy to utilize your optimizer of choice and go in and set caps and then decide if you want to go over or under. And then your next stop should be on this top stacks tool. And you can figure out from there what you want to do, quickly set your lineups and have a definite fighting chance and be able to do this in about 10 minutes or so. You guys get to watch me do it on almost every live before lock. Guess what? I'm not going to be doing it tonight because I'm going to have time after the show to take care of that. But let's go through our games here. We'll go game by game. Let me see. Of course, we are sponsored by Yahoo. Want to remind you that they do have the Yahoo $350,000 baller over there. That is their NFL contest. We will have a free NFL article posted over for this specific slate. And the key you want to remember is, one, they lock for Thursday night. A lot of times they don't completely fill, especially on some of their smaller contests, because they only have 1, 2, or 3 max. The other thing you want to remember is they do include the Sunday night game if you play on Sundays. And that's something that doesn't always carry over from the other sites, because most people handle that these days as showdown content or single game content. So a lot of times those players are a little bit overlooked. Maybe not the stars, but the secondary players most definitely are. And that's something that you can utilize to your advantage, depending on the matchup, of course. Moving on to baseball here. Our first game, let me get that up. No weather that we have to worry about, but everything's pretty much cooler these days. We've got St. Louis in Pittsburgh. We have Dakota Hudson at 8,200 on DraftKings, taking on Steven Brault. Brault now priced like a reliever. When he was the quote opener, he was priced like he was a starter. Hashtag 2020. I do have to mention him, Jake. He's 5,900. We have 12 pitchers, and there's a couple dogs in there that we're not going to want to allow into our lineups or our player pools. What do you want to do here with this this pair of hurlers? Let's talk about the Southpaw Brault first.
Yeah, I mean, Brault obviously not a great pitcher, but a spot where I think you can use him. And if you look at the top pitcher tool, which is free today, he's going to grade out pretty favorably on that, in that he's not getting owned very much at all. He's got an okay chance of being a top 2 pitcher for his price. Basically, you just need him to survive the first few innings, get to 5 or maybe 6, and hope you get a couple strikeouts along the way. I mean, the number of righties he's going to face is a little bit concerning, but this isn't a guy that strikes out a ton of hitters anyways. So I'm always looking to play these cheap pitchers. There's a couple of them tonight. But Brault's definitely in my mix. I'm over the field on where he's at right now on our ownership projection, which is very low. But I could see getting to him in 10, 15% of my lineups on DK.
And that feels about right. A lot of this is going to just be for differentiation, because where we're going to be drawn into looking at Coors Field as one of the best spots on the night. Where on DraftKings, we're going to look at some of these heavily discounted Houston bats that we'll talk about in a great matchup against Jordan Lyles. All of a sudden, we're getting a real chalky build, because then we have enough funding to go with Bieber, Nola, or Valdez, who is where everybody else is going to want to be. By utilizing some of these different players, this will allow us different mixes, and then our one-offs or secondary stacks can also be expensive, and that's a nice way to go in there. They are working on the sound. If you guys want to let them know there in chat if it's working better for you or not, and also hit that like button. Come on, we're working hard, and a like for us is a like that does not go to Josh Engelman. So there we go. On the other side, we have Dakota Hudson, who is king of the worm burners. He is just nothing but ground balls. He has been allowing a few more home runs. He's had a few blow up spots, but he's also had some good performances. His matchup against Pittsburgh is a decent one. We've learned over the last 7 weeks. I say, boy, that means we have about 10 days left. I say 7 weeks that the Pittsburgh offense, not that great. Jake, how are you feeling about Dakota Hudson at 8,200 when we can just reach right up there and for a few dollars more get Nola or Bieber?
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. Maybe on a different slate, I'd be on Hudson more, like the matchup against the Pirates. But that's really about it. $8,200. I'm just not getting to this range all that often. And even though he's the most under-owned pitcher on the top stacks tool, now that I'm looking at it a little bit more, I haven't really found it necessary to get to him all that often. So he's okay. Like if I end up in this range, if I end up on Hudson in some of my lineups, I'm fine with it. I guess the issue with him is that he just doesn't strike out enough hitters for an $8,200 pitcher, regardless of how good the matchup is.
All right. I'm laughing here. They were, let's see. Someone was saying that they watched the NFL strategy shows. R. Stanley says, watch the NFL strategy shows. Their voices were not synced, look like an old Godzilla film. Sometimes that will happen. We get a little buffering issue. Sometimes it's on the YouTube side. Sometimes it's on our server side. We try to do our best. But as long as the audio is coming through, that'll be good. I usually don't necessarily watch our shows, Jake. I would figure that more people would be watching this show because when you and I are paired, I mean, it's the two best looking hosts in all of the DFS world.
I mean, that goes without saying, even though you just said it there. I think everyone would agree. Can't find a better duo than the two guys on your screen right now. But yeah, I mean, audio number one, not the end of the world if you can't see our faces. Even though, your face is how we get more viewers, EMac. So
yes,
it would be nice to have it up there. But yeah, the guys behind the scenes do a great job. As everybody knows, there's going to be a hiccup every once in a while, and it's never their fault.
All right. So we are. Gorgeous Dong says, you always look handsome, though. All right. Get a room. Okay.
Free name, by the way.
Yeah, that's amazing. Gorgie Jang. I didn't realize he was back out of. I guess he Yeah, he was in the bubble there with Memphis for a bit. He's back grinding DFS. So drop the spotlight, or pardon me, drop the top pitchers stacks tool. That's our free content of the day. So if you want to follow along with us, that is what Jake and I are going to kind of be focused on for this one. If we're going for any hitters in this one, for me, it's definitely the power upside of Colin Moran from the Pittsburgh side. On the Cardinals side, we have Harrison Bader, who is 2,400 on DraftKings. He is a home run waiting to happen when he faces lefties. I also like Tyler O'Neill batting cleanup at 2,800. Similar thing. He is also a home run waiting to happen against lefties. Now, Brault doesn't put a lot of base runners on. He does allow home runs a little bit, but usually doesn't get blown up. Anything can happen in baseball, of course. But this is one where I don't know that I really want to stack the Cardinals, but definitely some of these one-offs are really going to facilitate the rest of our lineup build. Anything else from this matchup for you?
No, I agree on the cheap Cardinals bats, especially on DraftKings, and then on Yahoo, Tyler O'Neill, $7. Yachty, $10. I think you can get away with those two guys, especially. And I don't know that I'm going to end up on a ton of Cardinals stacks. It looks like more 2-mans and 3-mans, but they're definitely in the mix because I'm trying to spend up at pitching as much as possible, or just go down to the dumpster dive with a guy like Brault if I can't get 2 studs to start my lineup.
All right, on to the next game here. Again, we just have 6, so 5 to go. Chase Anderson is going against Masahiro Tanaka. The Yankees have just been hitting on all cylinders. In my article yesterday, I talked about how I really liked the Yankees wraparound stack. I was hoping that both Stanton and Judge would be there. Oh, wait for it. The other shoe's going to drop, Jake. I was hoping Stanton and Judge would both be in the lineup. That would drop Voit down there to like 7. We'd have Brett Gardner at 8, and then I'd wrap around to DJ LeMahieu. It'd be awesome. And then on the show, that didn't happen because some of those guys were out. Voit was up in the middle of the order, and I said, I don't really like the bottom third of the Yankees. So the 9-hitter and the 1-hitter combined for 5 home runs yesterday.
Higashioka and LeMahieu, right?
So hopefully everybody read my article but did not watch me on the show, and you won. Congratulations. I did not yesterday. It was not a good night, but I am looking forward to going back to the Yankees here. Again, this is not chasing the Yankees. This is another pitcher that allows a lot of hits in Chase Anderson. Throughout his career has exhibited a little bit of reverse splits, meaning he does allow generally more fantasy goodness to same-handed hitters. And the Yankees have a ton of guys that hit righty-righty very well. So that's got us on them for a 3rd straight day. It's more of a function of the Toronto Blue Jays pitching staff than it is particularly the Yankees, similar to when the Mariners are rolling out 4 lefties in their 6-man rotation. A lot of times you can just get Mariner recommendations are going against their pitchers if you're facing a team in a series that hits lefties very well. It's just a function of that. So we're not going to be alone in this one, but it's a nice little antidote to the Coors Field extravaganza. What do you want to do here? Let's start off with the Yankees bats, but then circle around to Tanaka.
Yeah, Yankees bats are the thing I'm most interested in. I mean, they don't have a great chance of being or they're not great value, I guess is the best way to put it, but they do have one of the top implied totals on the night. Now it's a Coors slate, and there's like 4 teams up at the top, 2 Coors teams, LA, Colorado. Colorado's lineup just came out, by the way. So we've got everything that we need right now. So hopefully no scratches before lock. And then Houston, and then the Yankees. So I think the Yankees are right behind the Dodgers as one of the best stacks. They're a little easier to fit in than the Dodgers, so I do have more exposure to them. Over on DK, it's going to be a little bit site specific, so let me reorder my FanDuel lineups and see if anything changed with that little update we did. But I actually didn't get to as many Yankees as I would like because I'm starting a lot of my teams with the expensive Shane Bieber on FanDuel, and filling in with some more value bats. So on DK, I'll get to some more Yankees and Tanaka 7,800. I didn't get to much Tanaka. I mean, he's like Hudson in that I don't mind if I get to a little bit of him. Looking at his projection, he's okay, but he's not even hitting the 2x threshold on Alex's. And I think you probably have a better chance of getting a better value by going to someone like Brault or Casey Mize or someone like that. One of these super cheap guys in $7,800 Tanaka.
Just looking here. Chad is asking, is it Chase Anderson? I'm seeing Chase Anderson. They're asking if Brandon Merriweather is pitching. I'm not seeing any updates. I'm looking at 3 different sites. So sorry if I am missing that one, but I'm ESPN, MLB probable pitchers, and then another starting lineup site that shall remain nameless. Also Chase Anderson.
Well. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing Anderson. So who knows?
Let's see. What is it? They are saying Chase Anderson could be a bulk reliever in the playoffs, but it could also be a starter. So just check that out. If you guys got a site for where that is, Joe Hare, please let us know, because we'll change or we'll update the analysis according to that. Oh, they're saying Merriweather is the opener. Oh, interesting. I'm not seeing that, but I'm not doubting you. Not doubting you. Just want to make sure we cover all of our bases. There's your first MLB pun of the night. The reason I do like Chase Anderson going against righties, against the last 700 he has faced, he has allowed 2 home runs per 9 innings. Giggity. I'm surprised that you're not getting to Tanaka in this, because we have him on the free top pitching stacks detail as being 20% owned. I guess that's not a ton. I figured he was going to be a core piece for me.
So I'm seeing him at 28%. So maybe I didn't update the top pitch tool, and that could change some things for me. Let's see if I got the most recent one.
I just refreshed. Yeah, he's at 19.5 on DK.
Okay, so that might change my exposure to Tanaka a little bit. I would get a little bit more of him, but still, I like a lot of my lineups on DraftKings. It looks like it's going to be Bieber with Nola, or at the very least one of those 2 guys to start. So it's possible to fit both of those 2 guys in pretty easily, actually, if you go to one of the cheaper stacks.
All right, let's see. Okay, so DK is showing Merriweather as the probable opener, and then Chase Anderson as the probable long reliever, and then as is CBS Sportsline. So thank you for calling out those sites. That makes it a little more helpful for us. If we just quickly look back at Merriweather here, he will probably go somewhere between 35 and 40 pitches. He has not gone more than 2 innings in any of his appearances this season. He has opened 2 games. He has been a reliever in 5 others. He does have 15 strikeouts in his 12 innings. He has not allowed a home run and allows 1 base runner per inning. So this could eat up a little bit of the one time through the Yankees order, but I'm still going to bet on the Yankees in this one. But thank you for calling that one out. That is very helpful, and we appreciate chat setting us straight here. Anything else from this game?
Let's see. I didn't get to anything on Toronto, really. Tanaka's still pitcher, respect. It's a pretty low total here. Although I will say, man, Toronto doesn't even look like that good of values either. A sub-4 implied total. They're usually really cheap, and they have like a decent implied total. Now they're expensive. Especially their secondary guys are pretty expensive against a righty, and it's a low total. So actually, I'm probably just passing on Toronto altogether, at least on DK. FanDuel looking like the same sort of deal.
I'm calling up I'm getting my filter set here because I want to see the Blue Jays, because I put Randall Grichuk in my probable or my placeholder lineup, because I in my back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, he does well in righty matchups. So I wanted to see 232 ISO in his last 861 at bats against righties. I would say that's pretty good. I will take it. He's the one guy I'm interested in, even as a particularly as, or I'm interested in him as a one-off in this, just for the power upside. We do know that Tanaka can allow home runs from time to time. and he would be someone that could take advantage of that. All right, game number 3 here. We are going until 6:15. Then you're going to get live before lock, NBA style. That will be with Rinpack and Josh Engelman. And then after that, you're going to get NFL live before lock. That will be with Kyle and Alex Bossman Awesemo Baker. No relation to Alex Caruso, just in case you were wondering. In this next game, Jake, I have trepidation. I have hesitation. It's the Mets. Seth Lugo feels like a good play going against the Phillies. If we check out Lugo, he has been stretched out as a starter. We know that there's no Jay Bruce, there's no JT Realmuto, there's no Rhys Hoskins. We still have a 4.2 implied run total for the Phillies, but it's going to be 70 degrees in Philadelphia. So I'm liking Seth Lugo as a secondary pitcher. Is he the guy jumping up over Tanaka for you?
Yep. A little bit cheaper than Tanaka, obviously. Similar implied total. The matchup's not that different for these guys. It's just the $800, or I'm sorry, the $700 does make a little bit of a difference between Tanaka and Lugo tonight. Just with what I'm trying to do with my SP1, SP2. So Lugo has a really high strikeout percentage, a lot higher than I thought, almost 33% on the season. 15.8% swinging strike rate, well above average chase rate as well. So he's kind of checking all the boxes as far as what I want to see out of a pitcher. And then you add in that he's 7,100 with the ability to miss bats and a low total against him, and not hot weather. I know it's not really hot anywhere, but just 70 degrees in Philadelphia. Yeah, I'm having trouble getting off of Lugo, to be honest.
Right. Let's see. I want to give credit where credit is due. Pointing out in chat, mentioning that 4 of the 5 hits that Grichuk has against Tanaka have gone for home runs. Hey, well, it's great when your analysis kind of works out and you haven't checked the BVP. Yeah. So that feels good.
Tanaka's had home run problems in the past too, and like a guy like Grichuk who hits same-handed pitchers really well. It doesn't surprise me that much. Where it's like if Tanaka doesn't have his stuff working, he can give up a bunch of bombs. We've seen that time and time again from him.
All right. Let me see here. All right, let's get over to, and I'm trying a new screen mix setup since I'm not setting my lineups up, and now it's throwing me off. But moving to the other side here, Aaron Nola feels like a phenomenal choice today. 3.9 implied run total here for the Mets. Mets have been pretty solid all year. This is not the same LOL Mets that we've made fun of for the last few seasons. They're definitely respectable. However, Nola has been just turning in another excellent season here. I think for me, Nola's going to win out a little bit. If you were choosing between Nola and Bieber with the popularity that's coming down on Bieber, how is that going to make you select your lineups as you try to let the cream rise to the top?
Yeah, that's a good question. The ownership, my exposures are with the ownership percentages that we have. So we've got quite a bit more Bieber than Nola, but a substantial amount of both of these guys. I'm scrolling through my lineups right now, and there's only a couple that I see that don't start with at least one of these guys. So, I mean, flip a coin, like the ownership difference, maybe you give the edge to Nola. I try not to worry too much about ownership with pitching, especially when it's elite pitchers like these guys. They're going to be owned for a reason. You've got 7 other roster spots to do something, or no, 8 other roster spots to do something weird with the rest of your lineup. So I think you just play as much of these guys as you possibly can. If they both bust, like that's fine. You just move on to the next slate. But these guys are far and away 1 and 2. If you wanted to throw Valdez in there, he's got a really awesome matchup as well. He's a distant third for me right now, though, behind these 2 guys.
Right. I'm looking at Bieber is 2-1 on Nola on sponsor Yahoo. There's a $9 price difference there. On FanDuel, it's 3-1 Bieber, and then it's 2-1 on DraftKings, where again we have to start 2 pitchers there. From the hip, what would you say Aaron Nola's strikeout total is going to be tonight? As I'm looking over here at Odd Shopper.
Okay, so just what does Vegas have listed? Like what's the best line you can get?
No, I guess I should preface it of his strikeout prop is 6.5.
Okay.
The money is mostly -155 on the under. Would you go with the over?
I mean, so you're probably getting what, 130 on the over?
Yeah, 120.
Okay. Yeah, I like the over there. I mean, Nola going over 7 strikeouts. Let's see, like, this isn't a perfect science right now, but if we open up his game logs, how many times has he done that? 35% K percentage. If he goes 6 innings, I think he hits that more often than not against this Mets team. So he's gone over 7 in each of his last 4. He's gone 7 strikeouts or more in 8 out of his 9 starts this season. So yeah, I mean, that's not a perfect science, but these guys done this a ton of times. And if you're getting plus money on that, that seems like a pretty good deal.
I'm going to drop this in to chat. It's so Odd Shopper is something that is been put together by Awesemo himself. And it's running on awesemo.com. So what we've got here is looking at 6 different sports wagering sites, from Sugar House to Bet Rivers to Bet MGM, FanDuel, DK, and PointsBet. And from there, we are collecting the information for all the different bets: futures, game totals, game lines, money lines, spread bets, individual players, player futures, etc., for all the sports. So you can just click in there and it makes a nice little dashboard for you where you can quickly look. Even if you aren't doing sports wagering, you can look at the player props. This is often helpful in basketball, football, baseball, because you're looking at the actual player information that's pertinent to what we're doing: strikeouts, point totals, assists, rebounds, rushing, passing yards, etc. So it's definitely a pretty helpful thing. You can also set up your own little notifications and little watch lists of things that you want to keep tabs on. And again, this is fun to follow along with, even if you don't have sports betting in your state. Virginia, come on. It's legal here. Can we at least please start to bet at some point in the next 6 months? That would be nice.
Wait, it's legal there, but you can't.
They have not set up the infrastructure yet and don't plan to until next year. That's what's called contribution money for this upcoming election, saying, please drag your heels. I'll give you a little something.
Gotcha. So it's not legal here in Minnesota. It's going to be a couple more years, but Odd Shopper is really cool. Like DFS and betting kind of go hand in hand. So if it's legal in your state, especially, you're going to want to get over to Odd Shopper and use that. Like, why wouldn't you want to get the best line if you're betting something? If you have access to multiple books, it's like, why wouldn't you want to play a guy at 5K? Another site's offering him at 5,500, and it's the exact same salary. Like, it's that type of thing if you think about it from a DFS perspective. So yeah, I know Laffy, our friend Laffy, had a huge day betting props, using some of the tools and shopping the lines at Odd Shopper on Sunday for week 1. So
that Dave Loughran is a pretty sharp fella. I will say
he is one sharp fella. That's for sure.
All right. We've already talked about Bieber multiple ways, but yes, he is top pitcher tonight. He is going against Detroit. Detroit, no bueno against righties. On the other side, we have Casey Mize. He is 6,300. Had an up and down rookie season. Remember, he kind of, as most rookies did, jumped essentially from AA to the show, rather than a lot of these guys losing a whole season here without getting some proper in-game action. They're just kind of rolling the dice with a lot of these rookies. So we should not worry about that too much. And two, we should remember they don't get to go against the usual September call-ups around this time of year. So it's been a little bit tougher than of a situation than what we see in normal years. He's 6,300. He's going against Cleveland. We're probably going to get 75 to 80 pitches out of him. He's a perfectly fine option. Not doing cartwheels for him. I'd rather try to scrape together the extra funds to get to Lugo or to Tanaka, but he's in the mix here.
Yeah, I think
there's my ringing endorsement. He's in the mix. Yeah, salt to taste.
He should be in the mix. If you're making, a handful of lines, making 15, 20, obviously 150 should probably be in your mix somewhere. Just not going to get probably the ownership that he deserves, even though he doesn't project out super well for us. And I mean, so you mentioned the 75, 80 pitches. That's not that big of a deal when you're 6,300. When you're 8,500 or something like that, then yeah, that obviously matters because your margin of error is much smaller. So I don't mind Mize just to get Bieber over with, highest owned pitcher on every site, best pitcher in baseball probably right now. He's just been absolutely absurd. Like even his quote unquote bad starts, like he went only 5 innings in one start so far this season. Every other start he's gone 6+. In that start, he had 10 strikeouts. Like he's just striking out everyone going up against the Tigers. The spiel. Just jamming as much Bieber as possible. Pretty much what we've been doing all season.
All right, we got about 10 minutes left here. Again, we're going to have NBA Live before lock after us, and then NFL Live before lock after that. We'll drop a link into my buddy T. McBee's article here. This was his overnight article. It covers Cleveland and St. Louis in great detail, which brings us to this question here from Gus Flores. Would you go in cash Hicks or Bohm from Philadelphia, or Bader and Goldie? I'm leaning towards Bader and Goldie. I'm going to do a little home run hunting, even though it is cash.
Yeah, I think you should still go home run hunting in cash. At least with some of your guys, you need some upside, because if the rest of your guys, your like low upside guys, don't do what their expectation, you're gonna need a home run or two to make that up. So, who was the second option? Bader and
Goldie.
Bader and Goldie
versus Hicks and Bohm.
Yeah, I would probably go. That's really close, actually. So if this person is a premium sub, I'm assuming they're not, but if you are, I would just use the projections. Whoever's higher on the specific site you're talking about, whichever combo projects higher, I would go with that. But yeah, I think I would go with where you're at, EMac.
All right, 2 to go here. We'll let Jake talk about Framber Valdez. I'm going to talk about the Houston Bats real quick. Right. So I said this Coors Field is going to serve as the true late night hammer, so there's no need to alert you to those players. Instead, let's turn our attention to the Astros, who disappointed everyone last night, getting shut out by Kyle Gibson, his first career shutout. 9 innings, 4 hits. Darn you, Kyle Gibson. Between that stack and the Atlanta Braves getting 1 run, it's not a good night for me. Not a good night. But tonight we've got the 10-year veteran Jordan Lyles pitching for his 7th franchise. Through 42.2 innings this year, he's allowed 9 home runs while issuing a free pass nearly every other inning. 7.81 ERA, 1.64 WHIP. The last 520 lefties to have faced Lyles have a 1.52 home run per 9, 200 ISO, and an 11.4 walk rate. Get those Astros in your lineup. Same-handed hitters, not a picnic for him either. 1.53 home run per 9, 190 ISO. Going back to that well, I do not want Lyles in my player pool. There we are. On DK, we've already mentioned Jose Altuve and Michael Brantley are ridiculously cheap. Now, Framber Valdez. Prices up, pitch count solid, shows some strikeout upside, and the Rangers, one of the bottom 3 teams against Southpaws. Does he get the Jake Hari endorsement, the snack of the night?
I think on most slates, he probably would. He probably would on most slates. And he's still a very good play. And I mentioned I don't care that much about ownership for pitchers, especially on DraftKings, where you're taking 2 of them. So you're already more likely to have a unique lineup construction than if you just take 1 over on FanDuel. And the same applies to Yahoo, 2 pitcher site over there. He's a little bit overowned, a lot of it overowned, actually, compared to his chances of being a top 2 pitcher. He's the guy that's getting left behind for me. It's Bieber, Nola, clear 1-2, and then Valdez third. He could still go out and have an awesome start. So if you're a Valdez believer, by all means, play Framber Valdez. It couldn't be a better matchup for him. It's just the difference in like K percentage, for example, something we care a lot about in DFS for pitchers. He's at 24.1% this season. Nola's at 35.5. That's over 10% higher. And then Bieber's at 41.3. And so I don't think the price discrepancy is wide enough for me to warrant getting to anywhere close to the field on Valdez on a 2-pitcher site. So it's just a little bit overowned. I'm finding it pretty easy to get up to Nola at the very least, and especially Bieber. So it's nothing against Valdez. I just think there's 2 options that are clearly better.
All right, final game of the night. Little run-through reminder. Yahoo, most trusted name in daily fantasy sports, and fantasy sports in general, actually, does have CSV upload and edit. It's a little tricky to find. You click on edit your lineup and then go to the bottom of that page, and you'll see a little in blue microscopic print that says CSV edit here. I was helping out someone in premium chat today. They were like, "Where is this?" And I'm like, I remember I had to hunt for it when I was looking for it the other day. So I gave them some screenshots to get them there, but that's the way to get that. Free content today. We've already mentioned the top pitchers tool. We also have NBA ownership is free. And then we have NFL Showdown projections tonight are free as well. Definitely want to check that out. Final game of the night. This is the true late night hammer. Well, not exactly late night, but it is the hammer. Julio Urias going against Kyle Freeland. 6.8 implied run total for the Dodgers. In 17 and 18, Kyle Freeland, pretty solid at home, decent xFIP, nice ground balls. Last year was an absolute unmitigated disaster to the point that they sent him down to AAA, where he had a 7 ERA plus through 6 starts. So they said, come on back. You've gotten worse. Let's bring you back up here. He's better than that this year, but not by a lot. What Dodgers bats excite you, and any Urias for you? I'm feeling a little tepid on him tonight.
No Urias tonight. Like I said, there's just a few better options. He's oftentimes priced out of play for me, and it's Coors still. He's still a big implied total against. Don't want to argue against physics here. Not going to pitch well and very well in Coors very often, or well enough to warrant an $8,600 price tag. So off him, Dodgers bats, they basically all excite you. Against Freeland, could he revert back to 17-18 Freeland for one start? Yeah, of course. We see this happen all the time where teams disappoint in Coors. I mean, these are just such good hitters. I don't know how he makes it through more than a few innings. So yeah, these guys are all incredible, 1 through 6, and then even their 7-8 guys are pretty darn good as well. Taylor and Hernandez. So yeah, the ownership's going to be big on the Dodgers, but probably not big enough, high enough on FanDuel and DraftKings and Yahoo. So I'm trying to get in as many Dodgers as I can. The problem is I can't play Bieber, Nola, and Dodgers. So I'm going to have to leave one of those 2 guys off. But if you do that, you can still fit in a decent amount of them, I think. And then the Rockies, I'm just trying to make sure my Rocky stacks have at least 1 or 2 of Story, Blackman, and Arenado. Because if you don't pay attention, you might end up with Tapia. Tapia's fine, 3,100 leading off, but you might end up with like bottom of the lineup stacks, like 5 through 8 or something. And that's not really a stack I'm interested in.
All right. Matt Kemp, revenge. He's always good against lefties. And then Arenado and Story, as you mentioned, phenomenal. Both over a 300 ISO against Southpaws since the beginning of the 2018 season. That's home and road combined. All right, that kind of hits it for us here. Again, we've got some other shows coming up behind us, so this one's a little abbreviated, but we do have all the lineups. It's relatively straightforward on this one. We got a ton of free articles up in front of the paywall. You can see Spotlight Pictures by Chris Giordani, I believe is how we pronounce his last name. We have a lot of unique last names coming into the world here at Awesemo. We've got my article, Spotlight Hitters and Stacks, and then Terry T. McBee does 2 articles, one his overnight column, and then one day of after we get the top stacks tool out, and he talks about how to leverage against that. Reminder, we are teaching you a lot of the little edges that you're going to have these days to do well in daily fantasy sports. It's not just gut feel. It's not just picking the players that are going to do the best. Well, I mean, that's the key, is picking the players that are going to do the best, but that's not always enough. And you're going to learn that when showdown slate tonight for NFL. So tune into that show with Alex and Kyle, and they'll get you squared away on that. And then we've got a free showdown article right now on the front page, front and center with that one. But let's get on out of here. Welcome in our next show. I'm assuming we're on the same stream here. We're on a new stream, so definitely check that out. Good luck, gamers.